he felt like Isaac. Like, this character has lived in my head for 15 years. And I didn't imagine that I would just see the audition and then know it was him.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Joe Vore Podcast, Way She Goes Podcast Network. We are joined with the people behind the upcoming feature film, horror thriller, The Dead Place. In the middle here, we have Idris Veliu, the star, Michael, Pickle, the director, and then on the other side, we have James Rivera, the producer. Thanks so much for taking the time, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. So, Idris, I kind of want to start with you. As we mentioned, this is sort of a horror thriller, darker character for you. Have you played something like this before? When you were working on this, what do you see are kind of the challenges that you look forward to into getting into this character and this, darker place and kind of darker theme?
Right. I mean, yeah, I've never really done horror before. So this is definitely my first horror movie. And it's really interesting because this script is just, it takes a turn because it's a lot of drama in it as well. And I think it's just a great script because it battles also bullying as well, which is very important to me because I have also experienced that as well in my school and everything. And this is definitely a script that I take to heart because it's not only something that I can relate to, but it's also just an amazing script that I think it can turn out to be a great movie. And I think everyone will enjoy it as much as I enjoyed it when I read the script. So I really, really look forward to working on set with both Michael and James.
For sure. So Michael and James, I now kind of want to flip this on you guys. Obviously, Idris doesn't have the prior experience. You can't go and look at a show or movie of him maybe doing something darker like this. But as he mentioned, he kind of pulls from some real world experiences here. So when he auditioned for you guys, when you saw his tape, whatever it was, I mean, what kind of stood out to you and made you guys think like, okay, this is our guy for this?
Well, we gave him some really short scenes, and it was amazing to me that he took those short scenes and he seemed to have read the whole script just because he seemed to have a deep understanding for the character already. And he made these very definite choices that no other actor had done in the audition. You could tell a lot of actors were like winging it. They really didn't have an idea of who the character was. They were just kind of putting their best foot forward. But he felt like Isaac. Like, this character has lived in my head for 15 years. And I didn't imagine that I would just see the audition and then know it was him. But James and I always look at the auditions together, and we just made this eye contact with each other, and we just knew this guy has the it factor. He's got this charisma. He's got an emotional depth to him, and he was already making choices that I would have directed him to. So it just seemed like he was an actor that I wouldn't even have to direct that much.
We kind of both knew instantly that he was the one because that's the character, obviously the main character. That's who we had the most submissions for. And we looked at so many people. And like you said, I noticed one of two things. People either wing it and they don't know what they're doing. And then I saw a lot of overacting where it was just like, you could tell that they're thinking way too hard about this, like too many choices. There wasn't like a natural quality to it. When we saw him, we're like, okay, next person. And within like 30 seconds, we were looking at each other. It's like,
yeah,
I think this might be it. He seems to get the role. He seemed, like Michael said, he seemed like he'd already read the script before. The choices were natural. He had charisma. It was an easy thing. We kind of like knew instantly. And there are other people we saw that were good. The second best one was somebody that we were considering, but it felt like we would have to work with him less to get him to a certain point. Where it's like, okay, he's got what it takes for a role like this.
Amazing. Yeah, it's like having a college intern for a few years. It's like, yeah, we can bring this guy on full time. He knows the job. We really don't have to train him. He can just seamlessly fit right in. So that's great. I know we're kind of in the process here where we haven't begun shooting yet, but it's out here. Things are cast. Things are moving forward. Can you kind of give our audience a sneak preview? Like, why are people going to want to go check this out? Obviously, we've kind of touched on the bullying theme here a little bit, but I mean, what is it about this project that you guys feel good about. There's a ton of horror, thriller, darker stuff out there. Why are people going to want to check this out?
Well, it has drama and emotion, but it also has the action that a lot of horror films love, horror fans love, and practical effects like mutated demons and stuff like that, and gory kills. So we wanted to mix like something with emotional depth and a lot of drama, and then mix it with the fun elements. So bring, the horror fans that like just the scary stuff and demons and everything and killers, and then also mix that with the horror fans that love character development and some where they feel for the characters before the horror happens to them.
I mean, I feel confident about the script that Michael wrote. It's a really good script. Idris's character in there has a very fully developed arc, and they're all very challenging roles. And what I like about Michael's script, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Stephen King stories. And I think what makes like Stephen King stories work is that they're about the characters first. They're about something else before you get to that. It's kind of like something like Carrie, which is a very dramatic film. I mean, there's Oscar-nominated performances in that movie. Before it gets to the you go through a whole character arc of somebody being bullied before you even get to the horror, before you even get to those elements. So it's a script that pulls you in. And I think the script would be good even without horror elements. If you just stripped it down to a drama about challenging possible mental illness and bullying, it would still be strong. And I think the horror elements only make the drama that much stronger in the script. I mean, he did a great job. And Michael's written a lot of stuff before. I honestly say it's the best thing that he's ever written.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel emotionally connected to,
for sure. And I love when you talked about, Idris's audition, the charisma, and that's not always something, you think, but when you think horror thriller, but I think it is like, a lot of the better, movies in this genre, even with the darker stuff, there is that, whether it's little comedic things here and there that you're able to work in, or charisma of a character. I think that stuff is super important. And obviously I'm not a diehard like thriller horror fan, but I do really enjoy the movies. And, there's definitely that quality of characters in a lot of those movies that I enjoy. So I think that is important.
Yeah, very important.
I kind of want to talk about this kind of, go kind of a deep dive into the process of this, so Michael, is James said there that you wrote this. So just like how long of a process is this, and what all goes into getting something written and pitching it to people, and the challenges of getting money to do this and then casting it? I mean, really kind of let's go like behind peel the curtain back and see, what that is like. Because even for stuff that does super well, and you would think, oh, this is a home run, it should have been, greenlit like that, could be, people have to go through hell to get stuff made. So what is that whole process like to get to this point, to have the opportunity to get in front of the camera and shoot something?
Well, besides this project, it's been a much different animal before this, because this particular script I wrote back in 2008.
Wow.
When I first started getting into filmmaking, and this script made me want to get into filmmaking. So I've developed it over the years. I kept going back to it, and that's why I think the script has so much richness to it, because I would learn as I went. I would do a short film, I'd do a music video, and then I'd pick up the script again and take what I learned and kind of insert it into the script. So it's been a long 15-year process, but I have a feature film coming out in February called Pay Up, and that was much faster. That we kind of threw that together within the course of a few months.
Wow.
So
that was a weird process, because that actually started off, that was designed to be a short film, and through circumstances it kind of accidentally ballooned into a feature-length thing. So we didn't even approach the casting of it like a production, like the way that we're doing with this. It just kind of became that.
Yeah, because this one, we know it's a big project and it's ambitious, and we're approaching it like that from the beginning. But with my first feature film, we approached it like a short film, and then the producer, the guy who produced it and gave us the budget for it, he gave me a seed of a story and wanted me to expand on it. And he liked the way I expanded on it so much, he wanted to make it longer, but he didn't give me any additional budget. I still had to do it with the same budget. So it all came together really fast in a few months.
Idris, have you thought about what it's going to be like to shoot this movie when, maybe you're dealing with, a demon or something that's, not there, that's going to be added in later? What have you done anything like that before? What are the challenges of acting and really kind of having to paint the picture of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest challenge is definitely just making sure I nail the character down, especially because I've never done something like horror before. But like I said, I do have I can relate to the character in a way with the experience that I've had in the past. The most difficult thing, I think the biggest challenge I'm definitely going to have is the sort of psychological, issues the character has with these demons, and how am I going to use that, and how am I going to imagine these ghosts just completely terrorizing my life and stuff. I think that's definitely the biggest part that I look forward to kind of getting into as well, because I think it's just a great kind of experience. I mean, like the character just being kind of terrorized by these demons, and he can't get these voices outside of his head. I think that's going to be an amazing thing that I get to do. It's going to be a cool character that I can portray.
Yeah, because his character is not just attacked. He's not just attacked by the demons who are trying to possess him. They're manipulating him the whole time, and they're making him think that the evil is inside of him, and it's not them. It's not their influence. So it's that level of manipulation that's going to be a challenge for him too. But he seems to have this emotional maturity where he can add that layer to his performance already just from the audition.
I have those same demons. It's at night when I'm debating whether I should go get Ben and Jerry's or not.
There you go.
Yeah.
Here's a dumb outsider question that I've always wanted to ask. Can there be real is it ever scary shooting these things? Can you ever get scared on set, maybe an actor in a performance? Is that possible, or is it really not like that at all? It's all the magic created, through the editing and everything like that we get to see on screen as consumers.
Yeah, it comes fully fleshed out in the editing.
Yeah.
But there has been some performances sometimes where, whoa, they strike a chord with that performance, and it's really creepy. Like we have this guy Elliot, where he's going to play Dr. Bryn in The Dead Place, the psychiatrist, Idris psychiatrist.
Ooh, okay.
He was the host of our horror variety show that we had, and I wrote him as like an evil Rod Serling character, and then he would look in the camera sometimes and say these sadistic things, and he would just creep us out.
That's pretty sweet. That's awesome.
But I think for the most part, being involved from the beginning and conceptualizing things and being there and shooting, it's hard to get scared of this on set, because it's this is all very planned out and staged. It's like when we sat down and edited our stuff, we realized, oh, okay, this is how it's going to be. Surprisingly, a lot of the creativity comes out in editing, don't you think?
Yeah, because the color correction, making everything darker, more shadows, and then the layering the music in there, and getting the whole mood going, and crafting the scene to build suspense. That's when it really comes out in the editing.
Yeah, James, you made a great point. Something that I can't believe I never thought about because it seems so obvious. But I'm a huge jump scare guy. People can come up behind. I will jump at anything. I'm very jumpy. But you when you say it's all planned out and staged out, the element of surprise is one of the things that gets people to jump and scared the most, whether watching in the theater. So yeah, I mean, if it's coming or you're on your 20th take, it's oh, I'm not going to get scared by this. I know what's coming.
It's also in the editing process that it's more than you realize. You could spend a whole day editing together 30 seconds of footage, and you see so many different takes over and over that it's not scary. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Editing can be tedious and it's frustrating, but when you actually finally have it together and see a sequence when everything is staged right, you got all the right shots, the music is layered right, there's like a thrill or an excitement. So it's a tedious process, but it's a satisfying
And
process.
sometimes it's just a small cut, just like a couple frames here and there makes all the difference. Like
Mhm.
it's not really effective when you sit down, but once you make a couple little tweaks and then it just pops.
Yeah, I heard on a podcast, Doug Ellen, who created Entourage, was talking about or maybe he was on the podcast, but I think it was one of the stars of the show, Kevin Connolly, talking about, usually on set, there's no better day than seeing the first day of dailies, like, oh, it looks great, this is great. And then the first cut, you're like, oh my God, like this will never last. It sucks.
Yeah.
But then, the editing, the music, the color correcting, everything. I mean, movies are made in the editing room. I mean, I'm not a smart guy, but I've heard that 100 times. And I mean, it seems very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually depressed for the first couple weeks of editing
Yeah, it's bad.
because I just think it's never going to come together. It's nothing like I pictured it. But once you start doing those tweaks and then mold it, and then that's when it starts coming out, and I feel a lot better after that.
Yeah.
Idris, sorry, go ahead, James.
Yeah, it takes a while to get to that point, but yeah.
Idris, do you ever fight? Is there ever any pushback? Like, I'm sure you always want to see yourself. Do you ever have to fight to see those things? I know, some people, it's just like, this will take forever if we're letting every actor see themselves. They're like, oh, I screwed this up. I want to go back. How much do there has to be, it's like a team. There has to be some trust there, right? Where they trust you to make your choices. And if they don't say anything, you probably have to trust them that you are giving them what you need. You're giving them what you need to give them.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, obviously, like, I feel like any other actor, they obviously want to make sure what they put out is definitely good, and especially before they put it out. So sometimes when you're not really able to see what you did or how you act or anything like that, it does kind of get a little nerve wracking just because you hope you did your best. And sometimes even when the movie comes out, you're like, maybe I could have done that better. But in reality, the director thinks that was perfect, and you just got to trust the director's opinion because he's the one that created the script and that created the movie.
Absolutely. Well, Michael Pickle, Idris Veliu, James Rivera, I can't thank you enough. Everyone, The Dead Place, everything's going to be getting rolling soon. And I mean, I'm going to be super pumped to see this when it comes out, and it's going to be fun to say that I was able to talk to you guys. So I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
And
Absolutely.
our crowdfunding campaign launches on October 4th on Indiegogo.
Perfect. Everyone check it out October 4th. That'll be great. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.